Many people say things like, "Aren't you being overly cautious?" It's more comfortable to live without knowing all this. Even if you know, you can't avoid it, and it just adds stress. However, we all remember the humidifier disinfectant disaster, don't we? The fear of toxic chemicals is definitely not an overreaction. The goal is to avoid exposure as much as possible. So today, we're diving into the third installment of the Harmful Substances series, focusing on hazardous substances in living rooms and bedrooms, including humidifier disinfectants. Today, we'll specifically look at carcinogens and endocrine disruptors found indoors, excluding food. I'll explain where these harmful substances come from and how they affect us. Let's talk about plastics and synthetic fibers. Phthalates. Many of you may have heard of phthalates. They are primarily found in PVC, polyvinyl chloride, plastics. PVC itself is extremely hard, so plasticizers are added to make it flexible. Phthalates were widely used for this purpose, earning them the nickname inseparable partners of PVC. However, once the health risks of phthalates became known, governments around the world began regulating their use. In South Korea, strict regulations have been in place for years, making phthalate exposure much lower than before. Where were phthalates commonly found? Yoga mats. Medical 4 tubes, which meant patients were directly exposed to them. Children's toys like slime, liquid monsters, plastic wrap. People used to store soup in the fridge using plastic wrap, unknowingly consuming phthalates in their food. As recently as 2017, a study examining 30 different yoga mats found that a significant number contained harmful substances. Specifically, 4 of these mats were found to contain phthalates, 2 contained short-chain chlorinated paraffins, SCCPs, and 1 even tested positive for polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs. These are all known to pose potential health risks, particularly with phthalates, which are commonly used as plasticizers to make PVC, polyvinyl chloride, softer and more flexible, have been under scrutiny due to their harmful effects on human health. Similarly, SCCPs have been linked to environmental and health concerns, as they persist in the environment and may disrupt endocrine function. PAHs, on the other hand, are a class of chemicals that have been associated with cancer risk when exposure occurs over time. However, significant progress has been made in improving the safety of yoga mats, particularly those manufactured in Korea. As of 2024, yoga mats produced domestically are widely considered safe. The Korea Vinyl Environmental Association has confirmed that phthalates have not been used in Korean-made yoga mats since 2015, indicating that manufacturers have phased out these harmful chemicals. This shift reflects a growing awareness of the risks associated with hazardous substances in consumer products and the tightening of safety standards in the industry. That said, not all yoga mats available on the market are made in Korea. Many imported products do not necessarily adhere to the same stringent regulations. This means consumers should remain cautious, especially when purchasing mats from international brands or lower-cost alternatives that may not specify their material composition. Checking product labels, verifying safety certifications, and opting for mats labeled phthalate-free can help ensure safer choices. What health risks do phthalates pose? Phthalates are a group of chemical compounds with various industrial applications, but their use in consumer products, particularly in plastics, has raised significant health concerns. Among the many types of phthalates, 3 are considered especially harmful: DHP, D2-ethylhexyl phthalate, DBP, dibutyl phthalate, and BBP, benzyl butyl phthalate. These compounds have been classified as Group 2B carcinogens by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, meaning they are possibly carcinogenic to humans. Although the evidence in humans is still being studied, research in animals has shown that high levels of exposure to DHP and similar phthalates can cause liver and kidney toxicity, reproductive issues, and endocrine disruption. Endocrine-disrupting chemicals, EDCs, interfere with the body's hormone systems, which can lead to developmental abnormalities in children, reduced fertility, and even increased risks of certain cancers. Pregnant women and young children are particularly vulnerable to these effects because exposure during critical developmental periods can have long-term health consequences. In addition to potential cancer risks, phthalates have been linked to hormonal imbalances. By mimicking or blocking natural hormones, phthalates can disrupt normal hormonal function, leading to reproductive issues and developmental problems. Respiratory problems. Some studies suggest that exposure to phthalates can worsen asthma and other respiratory conditions, particularly in children. Neurological effects. Emerging research indicates that prenatal exposure to phthalates may be associated with cognitive and behavioral issues in children, such as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, and lower IQ scores. Metabolic and immune system disruption. Some phthalates have been linked to an increased risk of obesity and immune system dysfunction. Given these risks, many countries have implemented strict regulations to limit the use of phthalates, especially in children's products, medical devices, and food packaging. While these regulations have helped reduce exposure, phthalates remain a concern in certain consumer goods, including older yoga mats, plastic flooring, vinyl wallpapers, and some types of furniture upholstery. How to minimize phthalate exposure? Since phthalates are still present in some products, there are a few simple steps consumers can take to reduce their exposure. Choose phthalate-free yoga mats. Look for yoga mats made of alternative materials such as TPE, thermoplastic elastomer, natural rubber, or cork, which are safer and environmentally friendly. Ventilate your home. Many plastic products release phthalates into the air over time. Regular ventilation can help reduce indoor air contamination. Avoid soft PVC products. Items like plastic shower curtains, vinyl flooring, and synthetic leather often contain phthalates. Opt for safer materials when possible. Wash hands frequently. Since phthalates can accumulate on surfaces, washing hands regularly, especially before eating, can help reduce ingestion. Replace old plastic products. Phthalates tend to leach out of plastics over time. If you have yoga mats, floor mats, or plastic household items that are more than 3 years old, consider replacing them. What does Group 2B mean? It means there is some evidence that they may cause cancer, but more research is needed. However, just because something is a Group 2B carcinogen doesn't mean it's harmless. For example, aspartame, found in diet soda, is also in Group 2B, but people still consume it for specific reasons. Phthalates, on the other hand, offer no benefits and can be completely avoided, so we should minimize our exposure. Governments worldwide have strict regulations on phthalates, particularly in children's products. In South Korea, since 2020, authorities have been actively testing products and enforcing bans. Where are phthalates still being found? Despite regulations, phthalates are still being detected in children's products. Here are some examples of products found to contain excessive phthalates. 2020, children's science kits contained 479 times the allowed limit. 2020, 2 children's headsets contained DHP levels far exceeding the legal limit. 2020, some plastic dolls, similar to Barbie dolls, had phthalates 8 to 32 times above the legal limit. 2020, bathtub toys contain 612 times the allowed phthalate levels. Recent years, many imported toys from foreign online platforms continue to contain excessive phthalates. Key takeaways about phthalates. Children's products are the biggest concern. Phthalates are most commonly detected in toys and childcare items. Domestic regulation is working. South Korea has nearly eliminated phthalates in locally produced products, but imported products remain a risk. Look for phthalate-free labels when buying yoga mats, plastic toys, or household items. Check for labels like DHP-free or phthalate-free. Choose safer materials instead of plastic. Opt for stainless steel, wood, silicone, or natural rubber when purchasing children's products. Dispose of old plastic items. A 2022 study found that plastic products used for over 3 years still released high levels of phthalates, meaning old plastic should be discarded. Many people say things like, "Isn't this being overly sensitive?" Or "It's more comfortable not knowing." Knowing doesn't necessarily prevent harm, it just adds stress. However, let's not forget the humidifier disinfectant disaster, which clearly demonstrated that fear of toxic substances is not an overreaction. Our goal is to avoid exposure as much as possible. Short-chain chlorinated paraffins, SCCPs. SCCPs are used in plastics, adhesives, and flame retardants. They have multiple properties, making them widely used in various industries. However, they are classified as Group 2B carcinogens, endocrine disruptors, meaning they can interfere with hormones and may contribute to cancer. Where SCCPs are found. A 2024 study by the Korea Consumer Agency investigated SCCP levels in 40 different household products. Gym balls, 4 out of 10 contained SCCPs. Kitchen mats, 3 out of 10 contained SCCPs. Slippers, 2 out of 10 contained SCCPs. Artificial flowers, detected SCCPs but in lower amounts. The biggest concern is that unlike phthalates, SCCPs are not strictly regulated in Korea. While there are limits on SCCPs in food contact materials and children's products, there are no regulations for general consumer goods like gym balls, slippers, and kitchen mats. Key takeaways on SCCPs: discard old products. Just like with phthalates, replace gym balls, kitchen mats, slippers, and artificial flowers if they are old. Keep children away from risky products. Unlike children's products, adult-use gym balls, kitchen mats, and slippers are not regulated. Limit children's exposure to these items. Regulations need to improve. Government action is needed to establish safety standards for general consumer goods.